Another episode of the Dream Printing Podcast. I'm Polly Payne, your host. I am the CEO and founder of Horacio Printing. So I create planners, journals, devotionals, and I'm also the creator of Print School, which is my signature program to help people take their idea out of their head and into their hands. And today I have an incredible student who created her paradigm goal planner. And her story is absolutely amazing. She joined Print School when her child was 2 months old, and she has created and launched a stunning product with really the heart to mentor young women to pursue their dreams in the same way that she has. She is amazing. So if you love goal planning, you're a dreamer, you love a good paper product, you're going to hear her story and her heart behind it. You are going to love it. If you're interested in joining Print School, you can learn all the information here at HoracioPrinting.com/print school. But without further ado, I am so excited to introduce you to Ambra, the CEO and founder of Alexander Stationery. Yay! Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. I am so excited to dive into your product. So if we could just start, introduce yourself to the Dream Printing Podcast and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Ambra, and I am one of Polly's Print School students. And I do have a corporate day job. I'm a new mom. My son is going to turn 1 in just a couple of weeks. And so there's a lot going on. There's work, there's being a mom, there's trying to build a product and a company, lots of stuff going on, but that's just the type of person I am. I like to dive into all of my interests and kind of see where they take me.
That's beautiful. Just to go into the mom route a little bit, I've built a lot of different things through pregnancy. And also, I filmed Print School when my son was 6 months old, and so there's just something about those early days, even though you're so tired, it's like you have a new fuel. Did you find that?
Yeah. No, I agree. I really thought that just because of everything that I've heard about pregnancy and just being a parent, I thought that I would just essentially be a zombie and that no one would blame me for it, right? Because you just, just had a kid, lots of energy is taken away. But I actually stumbled upon the Print Your Thing challenge when he was 2 months old.
Yeah.
So, like you, I jumped right in. I just felt energized because now you have like another person that you're dreaming for and that you're working for, and you want to set up a life for them, a comfortable life for them. So yeah, he's definitely been like one of my motivations, and why like this is so important to me. But I am definitely energized, like as tired as I am.
Yeah.
I'm also energized to like keep going.
Absolutely. And I think those times too, when you're, postpartum and you're getting back into your hormones and into your routine and you're figuring out that schedule and every moment counts. There's something really great about doing something creative.
Yeah.
I know for me, I went into a pretty deep postpartum depression or I think it was prepartum. I was pregnant, actually, not postpartum, but I couldn't get out of that. And it took an art class for me to finally it was online, just, some lady teaching you a little bit of paint. I'm terrible at abstract art, but oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Something about that creativity that just kind of pulls you into a new space.
Yeah, that's interesting because I didn't experience depression during my pregnancy or postpartum depression, thankfully. But I have experienced depression and anxiety just in my life in general. And one of the things that pulled me out of it was painting. I was, at some point, I thought I was going to become a lawyer. So I was in law school. And this was during 2014, 2015. There was just a lot. I mean, there's still a lot going on in terms of policing and, Black people particularly being targeted or being unfairly mistreated.
Yeah.
And I was in law school during that time.
Oh, wow.
And so you're learning about the law and there's lots of discussions, in class about like real world events.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like for most of the class, this was at, I went to Emory. I love that school, by the way, but it just didn't work out. This was, I felt like for a lot of people, it was just a discussion,
Mm,
but this was like real life for me. This
yeah.
was, I could picture like my own brothers being stopped by the police and something potentially happening. So one of my classmates held like a paint and sip kind of a thing.
Mm,
And prior to that time, like I'd never really like done painting as an art form,
mhm,
but I did, and I turned out to be kind of good at it and
mhm.
like just kept at it. And it's one of the things that like really pulled me out of a dark place in my life. So I completely understand where you're coming from. It's
Yeah.
just like it's healing.
Yeah.
It's, you're just kind of like creating something from nothing
Yeah.
and kind of putting that energy into something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, being creative, even if you don't feel like you're artsy,
Yeah.
anybody can be creative. Like I think being creative and being like crafty and artistic are completely different things. Anybody can be creative.
Yeah, I think it's part of our humanity. That's why we are
Mhm.
drawn to making things, you know. Speaking of creating something out of nothing, tell us more about what you created and your beautiful product.
Yes, I have it here with me. It's a planner, it's a goals planner. So it's a paradigm shift planner. And the idea of this planner is that you're trying to approach your goals in a way that you haven't before, hence
Mm,
the name paradigm shift. You're kind of shifting the way you think about your future and how you can design the life that you ultimately want to live.
yeah.
So, yeah, I was inspired to create this planner because a lot of people came, just to give you a little backstory about my life.
Yeah.
I did grow up in poverty. Both of my parents were in and out of jail, addicted to drugs and that kind of a life.
Yeah.
And as a kid, as a teenager, you don't really have much control over where you end up or what happens to you. So I ended up living with a bunch of different people, sleeping on couches, like just trying to get by. And
Mhm.
so when I look at my life now, I own this house, I own
Mhm.
my car outright. I'm now newly married. I
Mhm.
have a kid. I have a six-figure job. Like I'm living this life that me as a 16-year-old probably never would have thought could happen. And
Mhm.
so I look back on like, well, like how did I like what did I do? Like what makes me different from anybody else? Because I mean, I feel like anyone in my position could also,
Mhm.
do what I did. And it was really about focusing on what I could actually control. I
Mm,
couldn't control what my parents were doing, right? Like
yeah.
I couldn't even control where I was living. But I know that like wherever I was, I could control the things that I was thinking about. I
Mm,
could control how I thought about my future. I could
mm,
control how big I wanted to dream because nobody can take that away from you, right? It's all happening
mm.
up
Oh, I got
here.
chills. That's good. Yeah.
It's all happening up here, and like no
Yeah.
one can take that away from you.
Mhm.
And I was an avid journaler.
Mhm.
Before I even got into planning, I used a journal as a way to plan. So I'm like,
Yeah,
this
same.
was before like bullet journals became a
Mhm.
thing. So I'm like drawing out my own calendar
Oh
and
yeah. Trying to figure out
dating
out how to
all
make the
the
budget
things.
work. Okay, I've got
Yes,
$200 left.
exactly.
Like, what's the plan? That was me. Yeah.
No,
Always one.
exactly. And I still have some of those journals and,
Yeah.
and I could see the things that I was planning out
Hmm.
way back when I was 16 and, didn't have a job,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And another funny thing is that like as I got into the corporate world, and when you're in corporate, they have like annual planning and then like quarterly planning and then like your department may have goals that map up to the whole company and then like your team has goals that maps up to the department goals that map up to the like all these like different levels. And I kind of thought like that's kind of what I was doing too. I was thinking about, instead of the company level goals, I was thinking about my big picture, my future. That's like the top levels, like, what do I want in my future?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what do I want in the next year? Okay,
Yeah.
what do I want in the next 3 months? What can I do in the next week? To like, it's like a hierarchy to like step
Yeah.
your way up to that like big aspirational vision that you have for your life.
Hmm.
So I figured, anyone who asked me like, how did you do that? Can you mentor me? Can you help me? I created a product for people who want that kind of structure. And so the planner, it starts out by asking you to map out the vision that you have for your life. That's like the top level. And then it asks you to think about what you can do in the next 12 weeks. Okay, we're thinking baby steps, right? Like if you want to someday own a 5-acre ranch, with 10 bedrooms, you know what I mean? Like if you have like some big vision for your life, it's not going to happen overnight. But there are things you can do in the short term. There are things you can do in the next 12 weeks. And then after you map out what you can do in the 12 weeks, you think, what can I do in the next 2 weeks? And in my line of work, this is called a sprint, where you're just like super hyper focused. 2 weeks, what can I do in the next 2 weeks that will have some kind of impact on me reaching that long-term goal?
Yeah.
And so if it's buying your first property or, buying your dream home, maybe in the next 2 weeks, you need to come up with a plan to get your credit together. Just the plan. I don't expect you to get your credit together in 2 weeks, but just to come up with the plan. And maybe that plan is, I'm going to speak to someone who knows about credit, who can teach me, or I'm going to take a course, or I'm going to read a book. Like those are small things you can do in the next 2 weeks that will educate you and you can build upon so that someday you can have your dream ranch home on a 5-acre plot of land. And so that's what this planner does. It just helps you break down and like provide structure to your dreams, provide, clarity on what you can control. We can't control the interest rates, I personally can't just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
2%, 2% for everybody, right? Like we can't control that, but you can control like how you spend your money or if you need to make more money.
And how you spend your time and what you're watching, what you're wasting your time with. That's the biggest thing is also not just what do we need to do, but what do we need to stop doing too?
Yes.
You have to make time to read a book if that's not something in your normal routine. I'm curious. I've had a lot of books that have kind of inspired me to dream in a new way. Have there been any like kind of voices or people or books that kind of on your journey gave you a paradigm shift?
Yeah. There's this book. I've read it twice now. It's by an author, an entrepreneur, a former attorney. Her name is Rachel Rogers, and the book is called We Should All Be Millionaires. And it's essentially allowing you to think beyond your current circumstances. And it's very practical also, like along with like the stories she tells about like where she came from and where she is now. She also gives very practical advice. Like at the end of the book, do this, this, and this, like checklist that you could follow. And kind of like demystifying this world of wealth. And it's not necessarily to say that like you have to become a millionaire, because that's not what everyone aspires to be. But to me, what it kind of did for me was show me that if there is something that I want to go after, there's no reason why I can't have it. If you can see it, if there is a single person in this world who has achieved what you want to do, that is evidence enough that it's possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that I love that book just because she's just kind of demystifying this idea that some goals are only reserved for specific people, and that's simply not true. So that's one of my favorites right now.
Yes, that sounds familiar. I feel like I've come across her content before. That's awesome. Yeah. For me with the dreaming stuff, it was Tim Ferriss reading his 4-hour work week. Just the concept. I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm working a lot more than 4 hours, but the concept that you could become an entrepreneur with the internet. And one of the things he did was like dreamlining of what do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And it was like, oh, I've never dreamed about what I want to do or become. Often as Americans, we dream about what we want to have.
Yes. That's true.
The thing, which is nothing wrong with having your home, and it's yours or your car and like you have a reliable car. But, if we only are dreaming in liabilities and not in what we want to be, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, that was kind of a paradigm for me. So tell me more about what's in the product. So is it, and just the structure of it. So it's a goal setting planner.
Yes.
Is it dated,
So
undated? Is it 12-month, 3-month? Tell us
yeah,
more
yeah,
about the
good,
nuts and
all
bolts.
good questions.
Yeah.
It's undated.
Mhm.
And the reason I did that is because I personally think that when it comes to setting goals and pursuing goals, inspiration can strike at any moment.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike, maybe an academic planner where like school starts at a certain time of the year, it's undated so that whenever inspiration strikes or whenever you're just like, you know what, like there's something that I want to pursue, you can pick it up and start at any time.
Hmm.
Um, it's also structured. So I mentioned like these 12-week periods of time. They're called initiatives. So I have 5 initiatives, and each initiative is made up of 12 weeks. So in total, there are 60 weeks. So it's a little over a year.
Okay.
And then there's a notes section. And another thing to note is that the planner is structured in a way that after a 2-week sprint or after a 12-week initiative, you can take a break.
Hmm.
You can take a break. Life
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like you can go really hard on something for 12 weeks and then you're just like, okay, let me take a breather, let me recalibrate,
Hmm.
let me take this week break to plan for the next 12 weeks. How am I going to adjust what I'm working on? Am I going to continue exactly what I was doing before? So it's structured in a way that you have the freedom to do that without feeling like, oh my goodness, like the next month is starting and I don't want to have 2 blank weeks, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like dated calendars. So yeah, it's formed that way to kind of just to like give yourself grace. Like
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in the planner community or like you probably have had those moments where like you forget about it and you're like, oh crap, like
Yeah.
let me go back. What did I do these days? Trying
Yeah.
to remember or trying
Yeah.
to fill the pages with stickers or just something so that you don't have like empty, you're not trying to waste pages, but like that concept, like you don't waste any pages because you can just pick back up at any point.
Got it. Cool. That's awesome. So tell us where we can grab this beautiful goal planner.
Yeah, so my website is alexanderstationery.com. Alexander is my family name. I just got married, not even almost 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, and like I had already like built the website. I already knew what it was going to be called. It was going to be named after my family because I want it to be a family business.
Mhm.
Like we talked about having kids and having that energy to build something for them. Like that's essentially what this is for. So if you go to www.alexanderstationery.com, you'll be able to pick one up. I don't know when this will air, so I
Mhm.
might be in pre-order stage or I might just be fully launched where,
Yeah.
as soon as you order, I ship it out to you. It just depends.
Yeah. I'm excited. Mine's coming in the mail soon. Yay. It's going to be great. But check her out. Do you also have like a social media handle people can follow you?
Yes. On Instagram, it's Alexander Stationery, same thing.
Mm.
On YouTube, which I'm excited to start pushing out videos showing people how to use the planner because it's a bit untraditional in
Mhm.
terms of what we're used to. So find me on YouTube, Alexander Stationery, Instagram, also Alexander Stationery, and soon TikTok, Alexander
Woo!
Stationery.
We'll put all the links below the video so you guys can check her out. I love what you're doing, helping empower other women and pull them up and mentor them. I mean, this is really a mentorship product from your heart to help grow other women and their dreams and help them pursue the things on their heart, things they might have thought weren't for them, that they can
Exactly.
actually have the confidence to achieve. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank
I guess
you.
I'd last like to know, who did you really make this for?
Oh, that's a really good question. It's funny because we're taught to come up with an avatar or a persona for the person you're creating this for, but I actually had a real life person in mind. Um, and so I'm just gonna call her out. My niece, her name is Ivana, and she's in her 20s, and we come from the same family. So she's She's used to some of the same struggles that I went through. But thankfully, my sister, her mother, was able to forge a different path.
Mm.
But even then, people like my niece in her 20s, or people in their early 30s, um, sometimes still need a little guidance.
Oh, for sure. I needed like,
Sometimes, yeah, right.
dang, get
So,
put in a cage and like, like someone needed to wrangle me in. You know what I mean?
yes,
Lordy.
exactly. So, so I created this for young women in their 20s and 30s, but really anyone who needs kind of extra guidance and that confidence to go, forward towards their dreams and to know that, there really is no limit. There's no limit to how big you can dream. So
Yeah.
anyone who has a goal that they've been sitting on and they've been thinking about and been wanting to pursue, like this product is for them.
Yay. And last question. How has your experience in print school been? And what would you say to somebody on the fence?
Oh, yes. I can't speak highly enough about print school. If you're on the fence, here's the thing, like you can try to figure out how to do this product, create a product on your own. Good luck. Like seriously though, like good luck. Or you can do what I did and you can take a shortcut and you can learn from someone who has done this over and over and over and over again. I feel like I was provided a roadmap and all I had to do was show up and follow all of the steps. And at the end of the day, like it's here, it's here. And it feels so good to go through this program. You start by visualizing what your dream is, but like to get to the point where it's actually in my hands, like it's here, it's real. That feeling like is like no other. So if you're on the fence about joining print school, I would probably ask myself, what would it feel like? And you ask this often, what would it feel like to hold this product in your hands? And how many lives do you think you could touch? How many people are out there waiting for the print product that you have in your head? Do it for them, do it for yourself, but also like think about the end user, the person who's going to be touched by the thing that you create. Because to me, that in and of itself makes it worth it.
Yeah. And that's the motivator. That's what pushes you through the program, right? Is keeping that
Yeah.
person on the top of your mind. And you had such a beautiful avatar and story. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been so inspiring. Congrats on your wedding.
Thank
And
you.
happy early birthday to your kiddo. That's so
Thank you.
special. And you guys go check out her website, Alexandra
Alexander
Stationery. We got the link right here, so you can disregard my terrible pronunciation. But we've got all the links below. Thanks so much for coming on the show. It was
Thank
awesome.
you. Thanks, Polly.